This might sound bizarre, but I felt like Batman v Superman was never gonna come out. I mean, I feel like I've been talking about this every week since it was announced in 2013. Then it was moved from 2015 to 2016, not to mention that they finished filming at the end of 2014. So it's had a chance to be worked on and tweaked for nearly a year and a half now, which to be fair, is totally not uncommon. But we bloody made it! It's finally here! And now all the rumors concerning it being a mess, or spectacular, or DC doesn't know what they're doing, or DC knows exactly what they're doing, well, they all can be put to rest. Story-wise, this exists in a world where the Man of Steel is heralded as either the greatest thing since sliced bread snapped a man's neck in a very public display of violence, or an alien that will bring about the destruction of all of us. Whilst he's been putting in the time to get the public on his side, you've got our new Batman sitting back thinking, I don't like this guy, I don't like what he's about, I might have to kick this guy's ass off this planet. There are other more complicated factors at play here, but for simplicity's sake and for fear of not spoiling anything, let's just leave it there. Okay, the question is Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice any good? It's okay. Now, I know this is getting some universal praise on Twitter, and I can see why, but there are some problems present. Before I get into that though, I want to talk about some of the better elements of this film. The performances on a whole are really solid, in particular Ben Affleck's Batman. Everything about him, the voice, the anger, the hair, the chin, it's really on point. In fact, a lot of the Batman stuff in this is great. There's a scene in particular from one of the trailers where he just clears a room of armed men, and it is phenomenal, as is getting his perspective on the Superman Zod battle from the third act of Man of Steel. It really humanizes that whole thing in a way that I felt that movie didn't. Henry Cavill continues to do a decent job as Superman. I do really like him, but I'd love to see him be given more of a chance to push his acting chops a bit more in the future. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor is interesting. I think I still need to adjust to this version a bit, but to his credit, that guy is all in. Gal Gadot's role is fleeting, but you know, she does a good job, and the movie sows enough seeds that I am actually really keen on her solo movie. And I shouldn't forget Amy Adams, whose Lois Lane I really enjoy. We also catch a glimpse of some of the other Justice League members. Some feel more shoehorned in than others, but again, this movie certainly hasn't soured me on wanting more of them. Now, the Batman v Superman fight. There are some very cool moments. I can't deny it's fun watching them just kick each other around a bit, but considering this movie is being sold on Batman and Superman going at it, I think the fight's probably a little brief. Tonally, this whole movie, it is dour, but you know, I guess that's okay. Not everything has to be Avengers bright and colourful. On the flip side of all that, there are some bizarre choices in this film, like character-wise. For one, the reason for Superman and Batman fighting is convoluted and at the same time weirdly paper-thin. This fight would certainly not take place if they had a 1-minute conversation as two hyper-intelligent men like this would. That being said, of course they're gonna fight. What else are they going to do? Also, there's two distinct comic book stories packed into this. One obviously being The Dark Knight Returns, in particular the imagery, and I won't spoil the other, but honestly, it feels a little much, especially seeing as most of that is towards the end of the film, and there's a fair bit of faffing about leading up to it. Also, dream sequences, or hallucinations, whatever you want to call them. There's a couple of them, and they just come out of nowhere, probably to be explained in future films, but still they feel a little out of place, even though one in particular I did really enjoy. Also, okay, this is more of a personal thing, and I can see it not bothering people, and that's okay. It takes all kinds to make up the world, which is a good thing. For me, the characterizations of Batman and Superman are a bit off, I feel, in a couple of very distinct ways that differs from the two comic book versions. And honestly, I'm all for making changes from a comic. I'm not the guy who cares that Jarvis is a robot butler instead of a man, and that Superman doesn't have his underpants on the outside. Every interpretation is different, and that's okay. In fact, it's great. But there are some moments where Batman doesn't feel very Batman-y and Superman doesn't feel very Superman-y. Now, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to spoil a minor thing that happens very early on in this film. It's not super integral to the plot, but I think it will help highlight what I'm saying. But if you do want to go in blind, and I recommend that you do, hit mute until this spoiler tag goes away. Okay, 3, 2, 1, here we go. So the first thing we see Superman do in this film is flat out kill a guy. A terrorist has a gun to Lois's head, and Superman, instead of moving at super speed and grabbing the guy or using his heat vision to cause him to drop it, he flies at him, plowing him through multiple walls, definitely killing him. Why? Now, I know this Superman isn't adverse to killing, but why would you open with that? And I know, again, this is probably because that's not what my ideal Superman would do. I'll totally cop that. But my understanding of Superman is that he's not completely adverse to killing unless he has to. And in this particular moment, he definitely didn't have to. Anyways, enough of all this. All in all, I am really interested to hear everyone's reactions. Now, if you loved Man of Steel, you'll probably be on board for this. And if you hated it, well, yeah, you're probably not going to like this much either. And if you like me, where you liked a lot of it, but not all of it, then you might just think that same thing about this movie. So all in all, out of my 2 possible ratings, best movie ever or worst movie ever, this gets a best. Because I can honestly say, I was entertained, Ben Affleck was great, definitely want to see his solo Batman film now, and I am interested to see what's to come in the future of DC films, even though the end sequence of this movie is just all like CGI lightning and smoke. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing, but it is what it is. Now, if you are interested, I've got a stack of Marvel and DC related videos in that playlist right there. Feel free to check that out if you want. Also, this Monday on my podcast, The Weekly Planet, linked below, we are getting stuck right into this film. What we loved, what we didn't, all of it, the whole thing. So if you want to come along for the ride, that'd be great. It's sometimes a real fun time, sometimes. No promises. All right, that'll do it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.